Hey guys, Mustang here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are uploading another one of the no item runs from the new 10 categories, and you may notice straight away on your screen things are moving incredibly quickly, and that is because PEPPY GALS is one of the most annoying stages, probably just because it takes so long. So obviously on Global we don't have a proper 170 lead yet because we don't have Videl. And so, even with some of the good units on the team that we have, we're not doing a ton of damage all throughout the event, essentially. So this event takes ages. Like, I've already got a video up from when the stages first came out of us beating the stage with items, and that video is over 30 minutes long. And so I have literally put this video into double speed because this video was also around 30 minutes long. And at the end of the day, I want to get the no item runs all uploaded, so I obviously have the full playlist of all the videos for every single stage done with no items. But I figured you guys probably weren't super interested in seeing yet another 30-minute PEPPY GALS video. So this one is in double speed. And especially because the strategy is pretty solid, but at the same time, it's kind of boring. Like, the whole point of, you know, the whole Super Battle Road King meme and all that kind of stuff is I wanted to have videos up for every single stage beaten with no items. But, I mean, I'll be the first to admit that this run is not particularly exciting just due to how the strategy works. So, as you can see here, what we're doing is we are running both the friend Int Ribrianne and my Int Ribrianne on rotation together. So, whilst that does mean that the one in slot 1 is obviously not going to get any links, and so they're not going to do much damage, which again adds to the overall length of the run, it means both of them on rotation are debuffing the enemy by a massive amount, as well as providing support to each other. So as you can see, on that Ribrianne rotation, nobody takes any damage. And then on the other rotation, we use Tech Caulifla alongside STR Kale, because for fights 1 and 2, there is a Pure Saiyan enemy, so Tech Caulifla obviously gets the 100% chance to dodge, so we can put her in the slot where there are the most attacks. And then Kale is getting an additional super, thanks to the Pure Saiyan enemy, and when she's on rotation with Caulifla, she guards, so she doesn't take much damage either, and obviously she does raise defense on super, so the first turn can maybe be a little bit sketchy, because that's the one where Kale potentially could take some damage, especially if she gets supered. But because each of the fights does take quite long, she gets a chance to super attack quite a few times and build up her defense. So that stacked on top of the guarding means that she ends up not really taking any damage. And as you can see, back on the double Ribrianne rotation, everyone just takes double-digit damage. I brought the AGL Caulifla as one of the floating off-rotation units because she can do reasonable damage, she has the built-in chance to dodge, and she can also counter super attacks. So that is something that can be a little bit helpful if we get like a stray super attack in slot 3, because we have a lot of units on the team that can seal. So we can often lock down all of the enemies so that they can't actually super attack us. But if we are going to get a stray super attack in slot 3, at least when we have Caulifla on rotation, she can either dodge or counter the super, which would mean we'd get a little bit of extra damage in on the enemy as well. So physical launch, definitely one of the MVPs as well, even though we are using her as an off-rotation floating unit in this strategy. She attacks multiple times, she lowers the enemy's attack each time she's hitting them, and she can potentially super attack like 4 times in one turn, so she just applies a massive amount of debuff to the enemy. So once we get down to only having one enemy left, we're hitting them with so much attack lowering and then keeping them sealed that they can't really do anything to us. So realistically, for each of these fights, it's only the first rotation, like, of each setup, so basically the first 2 turns, that is even remotely risky. Because like here, for example, because we have the Caulifla and Kale rotation up first, we can't get any seals off. So obviously Caulifla's going to dodge everything, and then Kale in the second slot, while she does guard, a super attack would definitely still deal some damage to her. Not a crazy amount, and obviously we are able to recover HP fairly quickly. But obviously Kale getting a guaranteed additional super, you can see here she's still taking 15k from normal attacks. But once we get into like the next turn and she's super attacked twice again, she's not going to be taking basically any damage. So it's only really right at the start that you have to worry. And then, of course, every time you go into the fresh fight, you have to sit and watch all these animations. This is literally that turn, the 2 Ribriens and the launch. So all 3 units that transform immediately on turn 1, all on the rotation. So, but here we are able to grab some same type orbs for launch to get the heal, and then we are getting the Dokkan attack as well. Now, unfortunately, this comes back to what I was saying. There's no high leader skill value, and the team doesn't really have any particular units that I would classify as a hard hitter. So I mean, you see there, we did the Dokkan attack with the Ribrien with no links active, and we didn't even do 1 million damage. So whilst we did chip away at everybody's health a little bit, it was not particularly great for a Dokkan attack. Obviously on these category stages, you want to be going into the 2nd or 3rd fight doing the Dokkan attack and then taking like a severe chunk out of the enemy's HP, if not killing some or all of them. So that's another thing that massively slows down this run for PEPPY GALS, but it does give us a little bit of a heal. And then the reason why Toa is on the team is this turn we were below 50% HP, so she gives us 50% heal. And then that does also, for that single turn, buff extreme class enemies, which obviously on this particular team build, there are no other extreme type units. But it does give her that little bit of an extra buff as well, because she can attack lower and seal with her super attack, but if she's not on rotation with the Ribriens, obviously her defense isn't that great. So ideally, we always want to try and make sure if she's being attacked by somebody, that they are attack lowered. She does have a little bit of dodge as well. I didn't rainbow her from the most recent Heroes banner, so I can't remember what her hidden potential is, but as a support unit, because she lowers attack on super, I gave her a little bit of additional, but she doesn't really need crits because she's never going to be like a big damage dealing unit, so you kind of want to go additional and then extra dodge for her, I would say. But here we go, back into the routine. Double Ribriens. Obviously from a super we take a little bit of damage, but normal attacks we basically don't take anything. And then at least here AGL Caulifla has the type advantage over Gohan, so we're able to do some reasonable damage to him. And then at this point we're just going to prioritize picking up as many type orbs as we can. Keeps our health topped up. Obviously we're keeping Vegeta alive so that we always have a pure Saiyan enemy, so that all of the Kales and Cauliflas can get their passives to activate fully. And so we are just slowly but surely working down and getting rid of Gohan and Krillin. I think launch here, yeah, finishes off Gohan and possibly finishes off Krillin. Yeah, there we go. And we had not... It seems like, I think maybe the attack lowering had lowered off on Vegeta, but that's the other problem as well with this setup, is whilst Kale and Caulifla in slot 1 do very well, they're obviously not providing any kind of support like the double Ribrien rotation. So the unit who's in slot 3, if the enemy isn't attack lowered, then there's definitely the potential that they could take a little bit of damage. But as always with any of the Super Power Road stages, once we get down to only having one enemy left, it just becomes pretty much impossible for them to do anything, because we have units that can seal, we have units that can lower attack. So basically from this point onwards, there's pretty much nothing that Vegeta can do, because he's either going to be constantly sealed, or at least sealed until the beginning of the next turn when the first Ribrien gets to attack, but he's going to keep getting hit by attack lowering from the Toa and from launch. So basically just gets into a situation where he can't really do much to us. So he's not attacking in slot 1 at all, so we can just get the heal off on him straight away here, and pretty much seals the GG for fight number 2. So obviously, as you can see, we're not doing crazy amounts of damage, but that is the main reason why, as I was saying at the beginning, this run takes so long. Launch has type advantage here, so maybe we can finish him off. I mentioned this in the... what was the one I put up yesterday? Hybrid Saiyans? Or day before. I did record most of these like the day or so after the stages came out, so watching these back to record the commentary, for some of these it's going to be the first time I've actually watched the run back in almost a whole week. So, because I got all the no item runs recorded apart from fusions, and then I was going to spend a good bit of time over the weekend trying to get fusions done, and then start uploading the other no item runs at the beginning of this current week. And of course I managed to get very lucky. I did the fusion run within a couple of days, and so I got that one up first, and now we're just going through the process of uploading all of the other ones. So we're on to the last fight here. Ideally we want to start with the double Ribrianne rotation, so this is really good because remember, for this final fight there is no Pure Saiyan or Universe Survival Saga enemy, so the Kale and Caulifla rotation is not getting their full passive. So Tech Caulifla, as long as you're on a full PEPPY GALS team, which obviously we are for this stage, she does still have a pretty good chance to dodge built into her passive, but it's not 100%, so we do need to be a little bit careful. So starting off with this rotation is really good because it allows us to seal 2 of the enemies, as well as like not really take any damage in turn 1. And then of course we get this rotation set up now where Kale and Caulifla can put in some work. Kale guards, and because she raises her defense each time, I think she's actually the more viable defensive option, especially after she's super attacked once or twice. So I think at some point I do actually change to putting her in slot 1, because you can see there the couple of times that Caulifla didn't dodge, she actually took quite a lot of damage, whereas when Kale got hit, she didn't take anywhere near as much damage as Caulifla. So I think I do actually swap them over, because the Tech Caulifla does also stack defense on super attack, but they both stack defense fairly slowly. Like in a long form event they would be very good, but in Super Battle Road, even though the PEPPY GALS one is a little bit longer, it's not as quick. You're not going to be able to stack them up to taking like double-digit damage with no items active as quickly as you would some other units. So since Kale already showed that she is taking less damage, I think it's on the next turn, but I'm pretty sure I switch her to being the main slot 1 defensive unit. But yet again, we get the Dokkan attack off with the Ribrianne friend with no links active, so unfortunately that means that she does no damage. That's the only problem with these kind of team builds, is we have in the past for certain no items stages had to use a team where we're using a specific kind of strategy and it makes the run take a lot longer because we're using units that have strategic abilities like dodging and sealing, attack lowering, all that kind of stuff. But it means that you're left without a proper solid hard hitter, and that is always the unit that you want to try and aim giving your Dokkan attack to, so that you can capitalize on all that massive AoE damage. And unfortunately we've Dokkan attacked twice in this run already, and it was with a unit that basically didn't really do any damage, which is pretty unfortunate. So as you can see at this point, all 3 of the enemies are still alive. When it comes to the double Ribrianne rotation, I believe the friend one that I used for this wasn't rainbowed, so I try and put it so that wherever there is the most attacks, that's where I put my Ribrianne, because obviously her stats are slightly higher because mine is rainbow. And then I put the friend one in front of the less amount of attacks, because realistically they do take double digit damage because of all the buffs, but from super attacks, especially if it was a type disadvantage super, the friend one would take a little bit more damage than R1. So I do try and strategically place them, but as you saw there, yet again we got into a situation where the one enemy who wasn't sealed at the time, because Roshi has now just been sealed by launch, super attacked the friend Ribrianne. But the other great thing about running the Kale and Caulifla rotation is once they start building up their defense to these nice levels, they give you a lot more health back per orb obtained. So it's a lot easier to keep your health topped up at the beginning of each rotation with them, as long as you can actually get same type orbs with them. So that works out very nicely for us here. We're able to keep our health topped up pretty nicely. And of course, Darkness Tower, giving that little bit of support to everybody, and then keeping the attack lowering and sealing topped up on these enemies. So Roshi is sealed, so we don't need to worry on the double Ribrianne rotation about him dealing damage to AGL Caulifla if she doesn't dodge. She does raise defense on super and it stacks a couple of times, so she's going to be perfectly fine on this double Ribrianne rotation. And so we just reapply the seal to Yamcha, and then of course reapply the seal to Roshi, and then hopefully AGL Caulifla finishes off Yamcha here. We've got a pretty decent attack stat out of her. Unfortunately, not quite finishing him off, and this is exactly my point again with the this PEPPY GALS team build. Unfortunately, not quite being the one when it comes to damage, but Kale should be able to finish off Yamcha here, and then that leaves us with only Roshi. Caulifla raising her defense again. So even if she doesn't dodge, she should be okay now for taking hits. But she does get the dodge. And then once you're down to one enemy, this is where launch really shows her value, because if she can attack multiple times, every time she super attacks, you're lowering the enemy's attack. Unfortunately, that turn she didn't really go off. But this is where we definitely don't have to worry, because we've got the triple int unit rotation against the final tech enemy. So all we have to do here now is fire off all of these super attacks. We're sealing him up again immediately. So this is the exact situation I was talking about with Vegeta in fight number 2. Is we're now at the point where Roshi is just going to be constantly sealed. We have multiple units that can apply attack lowering to him. So once you get to this point, once you get to the point where there's only one enemy left on a team that has a bunch of units that can seal and attack lower, you've basically won. It's just a case of how long does it actually take? And PEPPY GALS, of course, does take the longest out of, I think, any of the category stages. None of the other category stages that we've beaten, with items or without items, have come even close to the amount of time it takes to beat the PEPPY GALS stage. And of course, the funny thing is, once Videl comes out, even if you don't summon for Videl, if you haven't done this stage yet and you're not in a huge rush to beat it, just wait until Videl comes out, and even if you don't summon for her, you just bring a Videl friend and she will absolutely destroy this stage. But anyway, there you go. PEPPY GALS beaten with no items, sped up for you guys so you didn't have to watch that going on for another 30 odd minutes. So hopefully you appreciate that. I personally would appreciate it being a bit of a shorter one, which is why I decided to go with that. But let me know what you guys think down below. I don't think there'll be another one in the future that takes quite as long, so I probably won't have to do it again. But there you go, PEPPY GALS no item run done, and we can move on to the next no item video. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.